Hello, you're listening to the Eric McKenna Project.
We don't even introduce anymore. We just kind of go into stuff, you know? Good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you, Eric. Thank you for having me back again.
Well, it only took them, I don't know, I guess there was some little obstacle called, I don't know, what was Corona something? Corona like drink, that. Corona beer, coronavirus.
Exactly,
yeah,
coronavirus,
that's it. Yeah, a little bit of an obstacle in there.
Exactly. I was here, what, about a year, almost a year and a half?
Yeah, about a year and a half since you were last here. Yeah, and you were supposed to be here roughly last year at this time, right? Exactly. Is that about right? I think something like that. So,
yes, you invited me. You sent me this beautiful video invitation.
That's
I loved
right.
it. I don't think I've ever gotten a video.
Don't tell them my secrets.
I've ever gotten a video invitation from anyone. This was so good.
Yeah, I like to do that. I could do that special stuff, but a lot of stuff I want to talk to you about. So obviously, without going into crazy detail, I will not put you on the spot with respect to you first, and of course your profession. But how are you as a man, as what you do and charity work you do? How is all of that affected by Corona? Take me back to this time last year, if you can.
Yeah, let me tell you, really interesting. I mean, last year was just a crazy year, a terrible year from a healthcare standpoint. I mean, first and foremost, I'll say, on behalf of Hope for Ghana, prayers to everyone affected by coronavirus. People who got sick, the people who lost their lives, families who will never be the same because of coronavirus. Right. My prayers go out to them, right. To business owners, to people I think everyone, all of our lives were affected. Business people.
Yeah.
I don't know that anyone wasn't affected by coronavirus, right?
Yeah.
So last year, it's interesting. I was supposed to go to Ghana on March 17th. I had a ticket on a Tuesday, March 17th.
Remember.
So that's Sunday. Let me tell you the events. You probably, because you're on my mailing list. I sent out an email on March 15th, Sunday. I forget the title. It was like just hope in the midst of fear, hope in the midst of uncertainty. I was going. It was the email saying, I'm going.
I remember.
I'm going on Tuesday. And actually, Ghana seemed to be the safest place on earth because coronavirus was kind of increasing here. The concern, the healthcare concern, the real concern was out there. Numbers were going up. Ghana, I think, had 2 cases. So I was counting, and I'm thinking, oh my God, please stay safe. I'm going. Like I didn't know. I don't want to go into a storm there.
Right.
Sent out the email. I think like at 9 a.m. 2 hours later,
I remember,
the president of Ghana locks down his borders, does not want Americans in there, doesn't want Europeans, doesn't want Americans. And it was the right move. It was the right move.
Yeah.
He was protecting his people. He did the right thing. And so I sent out another email.
I remember.
A mission, not canceled, but postponed.
Right.
So so that Tuesday I took off. I took off that day. Even though I put myself back in the schedule after that, but I took off that day like almost to honor the day I was supposed to leave and go to Ghana. And I remember I did a video, and I don't do a lot of videos of myself, but I did a video in my living room, and I talked about that I wasn't going to let COVID stop Hope for Ghana's mission.
Right.
So the initial point was, in my mind was, all right, I was supposed to go back to finish our second school. But at that point, in the midst of this coronavirus, really the panic all over the world, not just in America, but all over the world of this healthcare crisis, finishing a second school was almost irrelevant at that point. Like in the middle of March of 2020, it seemed irrelevant. So I remember doing this video saying, Hope for Ghana stands ready to help the people of Ghana. So we actually, Hope for Ghana, created a coronavirus crisis response.
Okay.
So with my ground operations assistant, and I'll talk more about him, this guy Senya, this guy I work with, my right-hand guy, my ground operations assistant, he's in Ghana. We were able to orchestrate delivering masks made in Ghana, everything from Ghana, masks, gloves, sanitizers, soaps, washing stations, all this kind of stuff, donating to hospitals, healthcare centers, and village to village, giving this stuff out. So we created this wonderful effort that was really beautiful. So I thought, we almost had to like reinvent ourselves. What is Hope for Ghana going to be right now? Well, let it be a coronavirus crisis
That's
response.
what the world needed right now.
The world needed that in March and April of 2020, and we did. We supplied hospitals, I think about 6 hospitals, 10 health centers, and thousands of people with all that kind of protection.
Wow.
We actually had our own because they were running out of supplies like we were running out of supplies.
Yeah.
I couldn't find the masks anymore.
Yeah.
I couldn't find the sanitizer anymore, just like everything was going off the shelves here in America.
Incredible.
So we had a tailor make us beautiful 3-layer, like, I'm telling you, Dr. Fauci would be proud of these masks. I'm telling you, these masks are incredible. We made thousands of them.
Wow.
So the tailor and all his apprentices were busy making these masks for us.
Right.
My friend Senya was mentored by a doctorate student, a pharmacy doctorate student at one of the premier universities in Ghana. Mentored how to make sanitizer. We made our own sanitizer. There's a Hope for Ghana sanitizer out there.
Oh, really?
Yes. It's not on the market, but we made thousands of them and delivered them to people.
Wow.
So yeah, so that's what we did kind of March and April. And then it kind of hit me like around May or so that I'm not getting back to Ghana so soon. Like it was clear. Mm-hmm. It was clear that the borders were shut. Really the world was kind of shut down, right? I mean, everyone in America, but really the whole world was shut down. So I thought, what can I do? Right, I'm not going back to build a school, but we do those water projects, water boreholes, where we bring fresh, clean, potable water to villages.
Right.
I can still work with my engineer there.
Okay.
Work with Senyo, the ground operations assistant, and implement those projects. I can get money with him and really remotely work. I was remotely working basically.
Okay.
And implementing through Senyo water projects. We delivered over 10 water wells. These boreholes create water wells to villages over there, and we're still doing it.
And you weren't even there.
I wasn't even there. I wasn't.
Wow.
I could do it all remotely, and again, that's how you just had to reinvent. Yeah. I think we all had to reinvent ourselves. I certainly did with my charity, because otherwise the mission would have stopped. Right? It would have just stopped for a while until I could get back. But I didn't want to do that.
What was the overall impact of Ghana with COVID? I mean, how were they hit? What degree?
So it's interesting, and I'm telling you, God must be watching them, because I'll get to the answer in a second. But had COVID hit Ghana and these African nations like it hit America and Europe, they would have been crushed. Their healthcare system is so fragile. It is so fragile. It would have overwhelmed the system. So thank God. I mean, the system is just not a great medical care system, with all due respect. So their numbers are amazing for a country of 28 million people. They've had to date, I think, like 90 or 95,000 cases altogether.
That's it.
That's like nothing, right? It's nothing. And deaths, they've had about 750
total for the whole country.
Total in all of this year and some months. Yeah, it's amazing.
Wow.
Isn't that incredible? So either they're really, really, really blessed, or is it being underreported? There's always a question of that. Mm-hmm. The cases being underreported. Is it testing not happening as much as in a developed country? Mm-hmm. So I've wondered.
Is it something to do with how remote they are? They don't see the same amount of influx of visitors and so forth?
It could be. Although usually in general, there are a ton of flights coming in from Europe and America to Ghana. But yes, they insulated themselves very early. Like I said, they closed their borders from March until I think about September.
Okay.
So it could be their theories on the weather, their theories that their life is much more outdoor than we have. It's warm all year long.
Right.
So a lot of their activities, even the marketplace, exists outside instead of inside. So as you've heard in America, germs spread less when you're outside, and
that's true then, because I'm so confused. Everything that you see on the media, I don't know.
The nature of being inside is that people are just by nature probably closer together. Outside, things are
so what
a
was
little
it,
bit more spread
Doctor?
out.
So just again, just general, because I hear that. And at the same time, we also did a lockdown, and for a lot of people, lockdown meant stay at home,
right,
indoors. So there's kind of a mixed message there.
Exactly. So I'll tell you. So the lockdown was the purpose of that initial lockdown, like March, April. I forget how long that lasted for a while.
Okay.
That lockdown was so that nobody sees anybody. I mean, except if you were an essential worker. I know in your field of work, I don't think you could go into homes, right? You couldn't see clients probably, right? So that lockdown was more, no one should see anyone. If I'm not seeing you, I'm not passing my germs to you. Forget indoors, outdoors, forget anything.
Got it.
It was more of a lockdown because what potentially could have happened, there could have been a huge surge in cases. And so by locking down, we kind of, as they called it, flattening the curve. You never got to that huge surge of cases. That would have overwhelmed our healthcare system. As good as it is in America, we would have overwhelmed that healthcare system.
Okay.
So that lockdown wasn't about, is outdoors better than indoors? It was, nobody should be seeing each other.
Okay.
Don't even go to the supermarket if you don't have to. Like,
because that initial spike could have been incredible.
So incredible. Yeah. When they did, when they looked at the potential of what that could look like, and they learned from Europe, Italy was a mess. And,
I remember. Right.
Of course, China, but many European countries were in the midst of a mess. They looked at what their numbers looked like, so we learned from them.
Oh, okay.
So the whole purpose of that was not to get that spike, because and we saw a little bit of it in our second surge in like November, December, January in this country.
Yeah.
Even here in Pittsburgh, I mean, the healthcare system was pretty overwhelmed, and many states, many cities were pretty overwhelmed.
Okay.
So that was the purpose of that. A little bit different. Okay. But
I don't know if it was, I get it. And see, you explaining it makes complete sense to me. But I think oftentimes we're getting so many mixed messages. It's kind of hard to differentiate.
Sure. Sure. And so the theory in Ghana is maybe that their life is a little bit more outdoor.
Got it.
And just spread out a little bit more. Than everyone in a store together, everyone inside. But who knows? But I'm going next week, so I feel great about it. I'm excited.
I know you are.
I'm excited beyond belief, because I haven't been there since.
I can tell.
2020, I couldn't go at all.
Yeah, that's right.
But part of me wonders, like, what am I going into? Right? Am I going into their storm? Their coronavirus storm? But
could theirs just be delayed? I mean, is that how it could work? I mean, it would just they would go through their issue, like we went through our issue, just a year later, maybe. So
it's hard to say. They did everything a little bit later. It's interesting, when we were kind of really accelerating in March, and like I told you, when I had to cancel my trip, my trip was canceled for me. They literally had 2 cases. So they were a few weeks after us. A few weeks later, 3 to 4 weeks later, they started surging again. Minimal numbers compared to us.
Got it.
Same thing. They had a second surge, just like we did in November, December. They just had one about a month ago, like in February. So some things, for whatever reason, they're a little bit later than us. But now the numbers are down there. But I'm feeling good.
That's great.
I
obviously can't wait to get there, man.
Yeah, I can't wait. But I mean, until now we've been doing these water boreholes, but now I'm going back. We'll finish building Hope for Ghana's second school.
Right.
Do more water projects. Do some other small things that have been on hold for a while.
So when you get there, you fly in, you land, is there an agenda already in place? You know what you're going to do, or is it kind of like just free form? So
a general agenda, although every day looks different for me. Every day I kind of fly by the seat of my pants a little bit.
Okay.
But there's a general agenda. So my workers, my masons, my carpenters, my guys know that on April 16th we're starting or finish, starting the last phase of the school.
Wow.
So they know, they're ready. But day to day, I meet with different people. I'll give you an example. Someone last year, before I was supposed to go last year, gave me a donation for wonderful widows and orphans. He said, I have in my heart, I want to help widows and orphans. So I said, that's wonderful. Why don't I do it through Ghana? I'll match whatever you give. Then I had another friend match that. So we have a lot of money for a nice program to celebrate and give gifts to widows and orphans. So we'll do that one day.
Wow.
I started a program last time I was there of offering apprentice scholarships, like giving vocation, and we may have talked about it.
Yes.
You remember
yes.
the young guy, Godsway?
Yes.
Remember, yes. You can't forget the name, right?
Yes.
Godsway was my first apprentice. He's apprenticing to be a mason. He's still there.
Right.
I introduced it to my donors, and they loved it. I have a lot of people who've given me the money to sponsor an apprentice.
That's amazing.
So when I find some young men and women, maybe men to be like masons and carpenters, the women seamstresses, soap makers, things like that. So I'm going to do a lot of that stuff. So on any one day, I could be doing any one of those projects or part of those projects.
So you're like kind of like there's this you're like the ringleader of everything. I mean, you're the general contractor with all the subs out there. You're the one just making sure that the entire vision goes
absolutely,
and each part's working together.
That's exactly right. I'm not lifting the heavy block. I'm not mixing the cement, if that's what right. So I'm not doing that. But my vision is I want to build a school. So it's the vision that comes from here. Of course, on this side of the world, the fundraising,
absolutely,
and all that goes into that, and implementing it on that side, and creating the team, creating the infrastructure.
Right.
So what I have there is the infrastructure. I got the masons, carpenters, water engineers.
Absolutely.
I feel like I have everyone that I need, or I know enough people who could get me the people. That's what you need in life, right? You either have to know something or find the person who know someone who knows how to do something.
I know we hit it a little bit last time, a lot last time, but talk again about how the not transition, but the addition of the water wells became part of your mission. Because in the beginning, I think it was schools, right?
It was actually libraries and
schools, right.
So I'll give you a little background of the waters. It's a great story. I love the story. So just so you know, and I'll remind you probably know, but viewers may not remember, I've been in Ghana for 35 years. Mm-hmm. It's a long time that I've been there. I went as a young medical student, and I just fell in love with the people, fell in love with the country, the people, and I would go back year after year doing medical work. There was a doctor and his wife and their kids. I became part of their family. Right. And so the Ghanaian culture was in my blood from I was in my 20s. I mean, young guy as a medical student. I loved it. And then when my niece wanted me to take her, she's like, Uncle Steve, show me Ghana. Show me all these incredible people that you're talking about. Right. I took her. It was literally 10 years ago, a little over 10 years ago. We went to an orphanage because she didn't do medical work, so I had to take her to an orphanage. And that changed my life. That's where the vision of my charity, Vision of Hope for Ghana, was born.
Got it.
Of how do I change these kids' lives? How do I get them out of poverty? What do you give them beyond, rice and shoes and T-shirts and book bags that are tattered or gone within days or weeks, right? So it hit me when I came home from that orphanage trip 10 years ago. Education, that's the key. Education is power. It's, as Nelson Mandela said, it's the greatest weapon we can use to change the world. So my first project was at that orphanage, building a library and a computer lab. So that was the original project. It was this and that project was small. It was for 28 kids, a small office, maybe a little bit bigger than this studio, and I put a small library and learning software, and it was amazing. Right. And then I met a guy, Platini, who heard of my work, and I heard of his work, an educated man, a teacher, a wonderful child rights advocate, who said to me, Steve, let's collaborate. Let's do something together. And he took me to big schools of 800 kids, 1,000 kids. So year after year, we put in basically libraries and computer labs, the same kind of thing. Yep. But it was for now 800 people. Right. So we did that, and then I did my 6th one, and then I had this vision of, why can't I build a school? Got it. Because in Ghana, so many kids, it's a concept, you can Google the concept, schools under a tree. Right. So many kids learn under a tree. The government just doesn't have enough money for structures.
So they just bring chairs under a tree?
They put chairs and a little board on the, tacked onto the trunk of the main trunk of the tree, and the teacher's teaching them. It's actually... It's a terrible concept, right? But it's beautiful.
There's beautiful,
because it's so beautiful.
Because, first off, you have the fact that the kids truly want to learn.
Yes,
right,
absolutely. So when I see it, it's heartwarming to see that motivation. Absolutely, tragic that they don't have the facilities that we do here in a developed country. Right? They don't have schools. They don't have libraries. They don't have books. Right. So with that concept, I spoke to some friends. They introduced me to a member of parliament who really was able to show me where in his area, his district that he is in charge of, where they need the most help. So he would show me, oh, Steve, we need help in this village, and I just picked one. Eric, how do you pick, right? They tug at you. All those villages tug at your heartstring. Right. But I built my first school. So from 2017 to 2018, we built a small school. Right. It's not like, Franklin Regional High School, in Pittsburgh. It's a 4-classroom unit, but boys' rooms, girls' rooms. Right. Like that's an interesting concept. In Ghana, they don't have that. So
Interesting.
So even a boys and girls room with toilets is amazing. That's a big step.
Yeah.
A staff room, lights, fans, a library. And again, a basic school like a kindergarten, first, second, third. It's a primary school. Would never have a library in Ghana. Not in these small towns and villages. So it was an accomplishment, and it's thriving now. It is beautiful.
And his second school, is it using the same model, or is it bigger? Is it more involved?
So it's exactly the same. There may come a time with enough funding that I'd love to make a bigger school, but this one is the same four classroom unit, which is good for the kids that they're servicing. Right. They'll sometimes they'll even combine classes. They'll put even a first and a second grade class together.
Got it.
So it'll service them well.
Is it? Help me understand. Are these kids that are in the first, second grade age? Does it go all the way up to, what would you say?
So the school, so to sixth grade. So think of it as like pre-K, kindergarten. They call it KG 1 and 2. So it's like preschool, kindergarten, then first grade up to sixth grade.
Huh.
But the interesting thing, you'd never picture the age groups. You'd look at the kindergarten class. There's some like 9-year-old kids in there, because in these villages, so just to back up, where I'm building these schools, I'm in remote villages.
Right.
Eric, when I tell you remote, I'm telling you like no running water, no electricity, no paved roads, remote.
Yeah.
So a lot of those kids would have had to walk, or previously had walked. They'd have to walk miles to get to the nearest school. So a lot of parents either took the risk or didn't send their kids to school.
Got it.
Because a lot of parents wouldn't want to send a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old on the roadside miles to go to school, so those kids stayed at home.
Got it.
So now
they
all of a
weren't
sudden,
getting educated at all then.
They weren't educated at all. So now kids who may not have gone to school till like age 8 or 9 or even 10 are now in school at age, I think some of the kids are like 3 and 4 in that school. It's beautiful. Like they're getting like 6 or 7 more years of education, some of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Steve, help us understand, when you say remote, it's still, again, you were there, you've lived it.
Yeah.
We're just trying to conceptualize it. Does the government even have like birth records on all these people? Do they, how the accountability in this country, we're all dialed in, there's no hiding from anybody. It's the way of life that we live in a first world country.
Right.
This is everything turned on its head, right?
Turned on its head. Most kids do not have any birth certificates. There are a lot of kids.
That's incredible.
I'd say many kids in Ghana that don't even know their birthday. So God's Way, the wonderful guy that I'm sponsoring his apprenticeship for, he says he's 18. We think he looks about 18, 19, maybe 20.
Wow. He
doesn't have any birth records. And his parents don't know. They don't read or write.
Right.
So this is the state of affairs there.
So life for a lot of these folks, is it straw huts? Is it small shanty homes? What is it?
It's both of those. It's huts and really shanty homes. They depend on farming. These are farming communities. Some is fishing. Ghana is a coastal country, so it's most of the people, if not educated to be teachers or the rare few that are higher professionals like lawyers and bankers, but in the small towns and villages, most of them are fishermen and farmers.
So it's that poverty on that level.
Poverty on that level. It's literally hand to mouth.
Hand to mouth.
What you farm, you hope to feed your family with. And that's not 3 meals a day like in the typical American diet.
Right.
If you're lucky enough to get 2 meals, that's wonderful in these small villages. Maybe they might have a little bit of a surplus to sell in the marketplace. Mm-hmm. That's how they can make their money. And they might do other things, distilling their own, their homegrown wine or other things. But it's farming, fishing, and some side jobs.
I'm just trying to paint the landscape. So is I'm guessing in certain areas, and obviously for the school, there's some kind of plumbing there, right? Is there?
So
that the local municipalities would handle anything? Nothing.
So let me tell you. So there was no running water into this village. So you'd ask yourself, well, how do you build a school without water?
Right.
So that kind of brings me to the next chapter of Hope for Ghana's vision, bringing clean, potable water. So I realized in building the first school in September of 2017 that my construction guys needed water for the cement, mixing cement. And we wanted to create sort of a poor man's flushing system for the toilets.
Okay.
Send water. Basically, you send water through a pump. You pump from these water wells that you build. You pump.
Okay.
You send it to this big poly tank reservoir, basically a water reservoir. And by gravity, you could have it flushing the toilets.
Okay.
So I hired an engineer, and he does this on a regular basis. And within a day, he can drill within a day, and then another day to fix the pump. And I realized afterwards that women were lining up. It wasn't my construction workers that were using this water, but women were lining up with their pans that they put in their head in buckets.
Yeah. It's like pottery, right? Or pottery.
It could be just simple steel, metal pots.
Okay.
But I realized the story behind this, the whole water crisis that's going on not only in Ghana and in Africa, but probably in a lot of parts of this world, that women, I realized, were spending hours each day fetching for water, for their daily needs, for drinking, cooking, cleaning their clothes, bathing. They would walk miles, women and children, and only to fetch dirty water. The water was filthy, usually maybe from a river stream, often a river stream where cattle were drinking. I mean, animals were defecating. It was horrific. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden they had this clean, fresh, potable water. Mm-hmm. So what started out as this really functional venture on my part
for the school,
became this, I realized, could be like maybe the greatest, like a humanitarian thing you could do for a village. So we have now gone from village to village. And that's what we do. We're building, drilling for these water boreholes. Mm-hmm. We've done to date almost 20.
Really?
Almost 20 boreholes.
It's up to 20 now.
Up to 20 now. Thanks to, we'll talk more about Senyo. But he's been doing that. He's been doing that. Like I said, I kind of gave him the green light. As I worked remotely, I gave him the green light. He did 6 in the fall of 2020, and he's now... we're in a new region. We ventured out to a new region. He's on his first road trip and his first adventure, and we're doing about 6 or 7 of them in another region.
Could you talk a minute about the absolute importance, how everything just starts with water? Because we take that so for granted. We see photographs, I'm sure, and, we've always seen photographs of in Africa, the women generally carrying the... But that's a real thing. You got to kind of wrap your head around that fact that of all things, they don't have water.
They don't have water, man. It's
unbelievable.
Unfathomable, right?
It is unfathomable
for us that in this day and age, where you and I just turn on faucets, we don't even think about it, that they don't have that. They don't have that. They literally have to work. It's work. And you think about what they could be doing with that time. Mm-hmm. Like women, if they weren't walking hours back and forth, number one, their physical health would be better probably in some ways, just the strain on them for these heavy pots of water. But they could be doing other things, more earning money, working, educating their young kids. Kids could be in school instead of a kid having to be at home with his mother to do all these chores.
100%.
Could now be in school. Waterborne disease, horrible diseases that kill people. Like, we take it for granted. If your kid here gets a diarrheal illness, like a stomach bug or something even more like salmonella, shigella, like something even a little bit more, we treat it. It's so treatable. In Ghana, many of those people die.
Wow.
From those simple diseases, dysentery and others. So the fact that we can reduce waterborne disease is just amazing. So it's incredible, and you don't realize it. This is a prevalent part of Ghanaian culture in these small towns and villages. Even my friends, I have friends in the very educated people. They have not a lot of money, but some money. They still have to fetch water. They're not. Every home doesn't have water. So maybe you have to make a deal with the guy maybe a mile away that you're going to fetch his water and you're going to have to pay him each month. So it's like a business. So
wow, it's currency almost.
It's currency. Absolutely. So I've given this village currency.
Yeah.
If they wanted, if they were smart, they could use it for a little bit of a business.
No,
right?
I get it. That's just
So, yeah.
That has to be like even beyond schooling or even beyond eating. The fact that the water that's
Right.
the most primal.
When you think about the most primal thing, exactly, it makes almost education. You and I know that education is important, right? It's so important.
Oh, absolutely.
But it almost
eclipses it.
It eclipses it, right? It does when you think. So for me, once I did that first project, I thought water's going to be part of Hope for Ghana's mission till the day I die. Like, you know what I mean? It's just so beautiful. It's so beautiful. So to be there, and you maybe have seen some of my videos, to see these villages the first day when we present the final project to them with the final product,
right?
And we turn on the faucet and the water's going. They're collecting clean water. There is jubilation. I mean, there's dancing, singing.
I bet.
It's beautiful. It's whatever you see in the video, it's like 10 times as heartwarming in person.
I can't imagine.
So yeah,
I don't know where to go with this. Again, it's the gravity of being waterless and there's supposed to be. Supposedly, there's some really interesting documentaries recently that have also spoken about the water issues in other lands there, and it's just heartbreaking. I mean, that had to be, I don't know, you were gone for 35 years, right? So you obviously knew of the shortage of education and water and food and so forth. How do these people do it? Like, I mean, you know, for 35 years, we talk about it and we know there's a problem, but they seem to be, their personal resilience has got to be.
The resilience is amazing.
Yeah, we take so much for granted, you know?
Absolutely, and resilience is the word. They don't really even complain. I think the jubilation is they finally see something different.
Okay.
Let me give you a story. They don't even know that that's not normal. Like what we're describing, the abnormality that a woman has to walk all that way to get dirty water. You and I know that's not normal. It's not right. They don't know that that's not right.
Okay.
So maybe 2 years ago, I was presenting to a village the concept that we're about to drill. Like we're going to come in tomorrow, we're going to start drilling. So I had a captive audience of the village, and I asked them to bring me the water they're drinking. So they brought me in a bucket this filthy water. I'm telling you. It would make you sick just to look at it. Dirty, like muddy water.
And all they could do is really boil it at that point, right?
At best, and hopefully some of that dirt settles. So I said to the village, I said, is this clean, healthy water? And an older woman, I remember where she was sitting. She was sitting to my left. She says, yes. And I thought maybe she didn't understand my English because maybe some of the people don't speak English quite so fluently. So I said, no, is this water clean? Is this water healthy? And she again said, yes.
Okay.
And the tragedy of the story is she thought that was normal. She thought that was what she was supposed to be drinking. That was her norm.
Wow.
So then, days later, when we presented clean water, you could see the just the sheer joy, and what they should have been drinking.
That's incredible.
It's unbelievable.
That's their standard, though.
It's a standard. It's a standard. They're documentaries. There's a great book. I have a nice story that how it got someone involved. So there's a book, A Long Walk to Water. A Long Walk to Water is the same water crisis that we're talking about. I believe it takes place in the Sudan.
Okay.
So I think I forget when it was, maybe on my last trip in September of 2019, I got an email from a teacher at Potable, Braddock Hills Basic School, middle school.
Okay.
Hope I said that right.
Okay.
Potable, Braddock Hills Middle School. One of the teachers was, her class was reading this book, A Long Walk to Water. And one of the other teachers who knew of my work she goes to a church that has donated a lot of money towards the water project. That other teacher said, Amber, you should get in touch with this guy, Steve Greene. His charity's doing exactly this kind of stuff, like, working on this water crisis.
Okay.
She got in touch with me. That school, these young kids, I don't know how old they are, 7th graders, 12 years old, right? About 12 years old. They raised money. They raised $3,000 to supply a village with clean potable water.
Wow.
Based on the inspiration from that book. It was so beautiful.
Yeah, and I think that's so needed. Sometimes I think Americans are so generous. I really believe we're generous. We just sometimes really need to understand, really, and see and feel what others are going through.
Absolutely.
Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I think we just don't know. We just don't know. I think there are a lot of people in this country that would be so empathetic, but just don't know about that crisis over there.
Yeah.
That's where I think the people that are so faithful to my mission, faithful to, donors, are people that their eyes were opened up.
Right.
They were awakened to say, oh my God, I didn't know this went on.
Right.
And if Steve Greene can go and do something for it, about that, I'm gonna donate to that cause. But they just didn't know before. Most people would never know.
How do you take us through the process for yourself? Like, how do you rectify that in your brain? Like, you go down there and you're there experiencing, what we just can't fathom.
Yeah.
Like, how do you? There's got to be how do you push through the sadness? There has to be sadness. I know you feel so much joy.
Yes.
Because what you're doing, and I'm sure that outweighs everything. Right.
Absolutely.
But has it ever been tough for you? Have you ever gone back to your room exhausted at night and just you have moments of weakness with that?
So I'll tell you, and it look, even for my first trip 35 years ago, you can't be blind to the needs.
Yeah.
So while I talk about the beautiful people, the warmth of the people, the amazing part, the great food, the great, all the things, of course there was the reality of, oh wow, this is how they're living. So, but I'll tell you how I for me it was more about, wow, I turned that sadness into hope and opportunity. That's how I saw it.
Of course.
So I'd be lying to say it's not sad. I mean, that's poverty at a different level. That I'm witnessing poverty at a different level. Need for just things that we just take for granted here at a different level that most people could never understand unless they've either seen the pictures or witnessed it personally for themselves. But for me, I look at it as, wow, this is something to do. We can give them hope. We can give them opportunity.
Right.
So I look at it as, what can we do for this?
Right.
Not overwhelmed with or not overwhelmed by just the sadness of it. But is it sad? Yes. Is it sad? Yes. But I look at it as, it fuels me. It fuels me as there is so much we can do.
So so I can somewhat paint the picture there, Doctor. Is it like you'll see like country areas and dirt roads, and then these huts or these small shacks? I'm guessing they cook outside. There's no running plumbing of any kind, no running water, there's no running sewage. Right.
A lot of them will use almost like a little barbecue with coal. Some people do have an old-fashioned stove if they have if they have electricity or some way to light that. But it's really primitive.
Okay.
It's really primitive. There are big cities in Ghana too.
Right.
That look different. There are big cities, Accra, the capital, or Kumasi. Those are big cities. Outside of the airport, you'll see huge hotels like that rival anything in Pittsburgh. Made for tourists. Obviously, Ghanaians are not going to those hotels. Those are more for tourists to come in. But outside that tiny perimeter is what I'm describing. But especially when you get into the smaller towns and the small villages, that's where the government money is the government has forgotten them. The money has never gotten to those areas.
Are there, like those towns, are there police forces? Is any kind of organizational structure of any kind there?
There is. There's police. They have a fire department. There's like in much of the developing world, a lot of corruption. People get paid off.
Like ambulances?
Yes, they do. They have that. They have ambulances, police, fire department. I'm trying to think what else. So basic, that basic structure they do have.
Okay.
Yes.
But basically, for the most part, they are on their own.
They're on their own. And again, there's some schools. There's some schools, but the best schools are in the capital city. Those are where, that's where the great majority of the schools are. In so much of this area where I am, in the more remote areas, there's just a lack of schools.
Are they connected, like the outside world? Is there internet service? Are there mobile phone providers there in more remote areas?
Yeah. So you could get, they have these cell phones. A lot of them are getting, let's say from China, these smartphones, and they can load, with a SIM card, they can load on credit for data and internet access. It's a bit expensive for them, but they have access to the internet, and depending on the phone, some of them have either WhatsApp where they can message me and even video with me,
which is amazing. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
The school. I remember you were here last time. I remember from that conversation there wasn't any connectivity, right? The computers were kind of standalone computers that had their own learning functionality within the computer itself.
Exactly.
Is that right?
So what I've done, with those 6 library and computer lab projects, it's literally just learning software.
Got it.
Because to provide ongoing internet service is difficult. It's a bit expensive, not always dependable, and at the end of the day, young kids are probably going to get into the wrong things anyway. They're not going to use it so much for learning as much as for more social things. Okay. So it's literally just like 60 or 65 pieces of software. Encyclopedia Britannica, different reading programs, science, spelling, math, like amazing stuff. Microsoft Office is on there.
Right.
So a lot of functional things, but not internet. It's an interesting concept. So there's I wonder if you mentioned the name because nothing has been determined yet, but there's a local university that they're thinking about maybe providing virtual classes from Pittsburgh into my new school.
Wow.
And so they would hopefully help create a computer lab with internet, with Wi-Fi, and the ongoing expense.
Wow.
So
we take so much for granted, don't we?
It's it would be amazing if they can supplement their own education with virtual classes, from Pittsburgh to help them out. It'd be incredible, right?
And what's really amazing too is that if any place on the world could use improvements in technology and internet service and connectivity, it's these places.
Yeah.
Even more than us. We've got it so much. We keep refining and getting our communications faster and faster and more real and more lifelike. But meanwhile, these folks have nothing.
Yeah.
And they could use it way more than we could, right?
Absolutely. And again, if you have the money to get these modems or access to Wi-Fi,
modems,
you can get it. Or on these SIM cards, they just load credit. That's what it is. You just keep topping off the credit. You can get access. It's just difficult for most people. The average person can't afford it.
What's interesting is the last appearance you were on the show, we were in our first year doing this, and there was an incredible amount of influx of Ghanaians. Is it Ghanaians?
Ghanaians, yeah.
That joined the page and were commenting and liked our page, and it went from
that's awesome. On the Eric McKenna page.
Thousands.
That's so awesome.
Thousands.
That's so good.
Thousands, yes.
Wow.
Yes. So that was interesting. I was like, wow, they've got they've got the phones, the mobile phones, I'm guessing of some kind.
They love Facebook, yeah. If they have just enough credit, they can get on Facebook sometimes, sure.
It's amazing, though. I mean, that's got to be almost, that has to be quite an unbelievable experience to them, just to see how that.
Absolutely.
They get exposed to that.
Sure.
Because what they learn of the outside world would have to be done through teaching. Or visuals through books, right?
Exactly. Or it's more realistically now on Facebook. Now they see this. When I post stuff and I tag you, they know the Eric McKenna Project.
They can
watch our podcast.
And I think a lot of them did.
Right.
It's just really amazing to me that we take we take so much for granted, Doctor. And
we do.
I'm astounded. Like the water component is like a whole nother mind issue for me, because you turn on a tap 4 times this morning to make my coffee, to fill my coffee jug. We took a shower.
Yeah.
We don't even give it a second thought.
We don't think about it. Or even electricity. So over on top of the roof of the school, I put solar power.
Did you really?
Yeah, on both schools. So there's electricity 24/7. So it's amazing. So imagine a school lit up at night in a village without electricity.
It's like a beacon.
It's a beacon, right? And so I would love the community to come. women and older men and women read in there too. Let them all use it at night.
Is that happening?
So I'm going to try to make it. What I'd love to do is make it bring in vocational training, like let the school function, until whatever it functions, like 2:30, like typical Pittsburgh school. But I'm talking to the headmaster about maybe bringing in vocational classes for young adults and young men and women in the evening. And open the library at night so that the kids can go there, but the parents can go there.
Right.
It'd be amazing. It would be so incredible.
Talk about the weather there, because it is hot there. Am I right?
Bro,
it
hot.
is hot there.
Oh, God. So if you'll never see a picture of me not sweating. Right? You'll follow me on Facebook next week when I get there. It's hot. It's hot. They're 6 degrees above the equator. So, like, I'm sitting on the sun.
I
so
can't
I don't know.
even
It's
imagine.
just hot. So they have their rainy season and their dry season.
Okay.
I think they're soon entering the rainy season now.
Okay. Now, what does that look like? Explain
So
what that
they
means.
can get like monsoon rains, but maybe it might be for like an hour or two. It could be longer, but they get heavy rains, and then it's fine. But it's still hot.
It's humid then, right?
It's so humid. It is so humid. And then in our winter, it's more their dry season. Yeah, but still hot.
I'm guessing those folks have never seen snow.
They've never seen snow. Well, let me tell you. So it's funny. They have, and I remember this from India too. There's something called the Hamatan. The Hamatan is this breezy wind that comes through. I remember learning about it in India, and they have it in Africa, in Ghana.
Okay.
So let's say, just making up December, January. I don't know, approximately the winter. In the evening, it's more pleasant. It's instead of the scorching sun, it would be like a pleasant 70-degree day, an evening for us.
Okay.
They're wearing jackets.
Of course.
I'm still sweating, Eric.
Of course.
I'm sweating. And I got sunscreen dripping from me. I got like 10 layers of sunscreen. I got insect repellent. I'm a mess. Just a mess. But they're wearing jackets. I'm like, what? How do you do it? But it's all relative, right? It's all relative.
Yeah, it's whatever they get used to it. I can imagine it's got to be incredibly hot down there.
But beautiful. It's just it's nice, man. It's
What's
so
the
good.
topography like?
It's mostly flat. I mean, there's some areas I visited, some areas where there's some mountains. You can climb mountains, some waterfalls. Mostly where I am, very, very flat. Again, farmland. Where I am, I'm right. I can walk to the Atlantic Ocean, like there's a beach, and I can walk to the Atlantic Ocean on one side, and then to this side is a lagoon. It's flat, dirt roads, has that kind of dirty, like brown road look to it.
Yeah.
But beautiful unto itself. Yeah.
Do they have to? I'm just talking about what they do in their regular life and the challenge they have. Do they have to worry about predators in regards to how's the safety for these folks?
So safety is a good question. I would say Ghana in general is a very safe country.
Okay.
There are some countries in Africa that are not so safe. I would say Ghana is very safe. Having said that, I remember my friend Platini said to me, you get to your guest house by 9 o'clock at night. Like after 9 o'clock, the people out on the street, especially if you're out and you need a ride, because everyone just hitches, or you hitchhike a ride home. The people that are out there picking you up are probably maybe they want something from you.
Yeah.
More likely to steal from you, but there are stories there like late at night.
Yeah.
They'll do worse than just steal from you.
Yeah.
They'll hurt you. So,
but you're by 9 o'clock, you're pretty much done because you've been out in the sun all day.
Absolutely, man. So I'm home.
Things would shut down.
Absolutely. Ghanaians live their life according to the sun, really to save electricity. So they're up really early in the morning when the sun is rising.
Okay.
By 9 o'clock, they're all asleep.
Wow.
So even if I wanted to hang out with a friend, they're sleeping by then. Even by 8 o'clock, you wouldn't call someone probably after 8 o'clock there because they're settling down. Right. So people out, if you're out like at 10 or 11 at night, you're probably going to meet the wrong crowd. So you have to be careful. You have to be smart. You have to be smart. I stand out in Ghana. Let's just say
you
that,
don't
right?
say.
Right? You stand out. And they let me know that, by the way.
I'm sure they
let me know. I'll tell you. It's a nice story. It's an interesting story,
Yeah.
I'll tell you. But you stand out, so people watch. They're watching you. And they talk about you. Like people will say, "Oh, I heard you were here today." Like they're all talking. They're like, because they've never seen a white. They don't see a white guy that often.
Right.
Forget the American. They don't see white. You're a novelty. And they'll yell to you. So let me tell you the funny story. It's an interesting story. I don't think we talked about this last time. So, and it's not in a racist way at all that they'll do it.
Of course not.
but they'll yell to me either in their tribal language or in English, white man, white man. That's how they address me.
Right.
I can't stand it. I can't. For 35 years, it's like been the bane of my existence there. So for 35 years, when I'm there, you'll be walking down the street. Maybe someone's across the road, and he just wants to greet you. It's not racist. It's not. They're not. Of
course not.
Mean, but
right.
they'll kind of yell it, almost aggressive. Hey, white man, I'm talking to you. Like, whoa. It seems I'm not used to it.
Right.
I mean, I am in Africa, but it seems like I just wish they would just see me as. And it's not going to happen. Like I want to change this culture of theirs.
Sure.
But I'm not succeeding at it, Eric. I'm not succeeding. I want them to see me as not a white man, like separate from them, because they look at me as, oh, you're this American, you're here and we're here. Like they don't look at us as equal.
That's a shame.
It's such a shame. And so I'll one at a time I'll educate them. So I'll bring them over. I'll say, look, I said, why don't you ask me my name? They'll say, oh, what's your name? I'll say, my name is Steve. Nice to meet you. I'll shake their hand. I'll ask something about them. I'll say, next time, you don't have to call me white man. Just call me Steve. Like it would be unusual for me to yell to you like across the street, black man. Like it would be unusual. So right.
Yeah.
Right? So certainly here in America, but anywhere, like I wouldn't.
Not advised here in America.
Unadvised, but I'm really sending the message. Don't call me white man. I'm not that. I'm just Steve.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to teach it one at a time.
Probably not working very well.
It's not working. I've got 28 million people. Maybe I've tried that about 150 times. So I'm like at 0.001% of the population. But it's so
that is
cultural.
So great, though.
Yeah,
that is so great.
In the village that I started out as a medical student, they had a song for me.
Okay.
Well, not for me, for just white people. Because in Twi, the white man is Bruni.
Yeah.
So he used to sing the song, Bruni Kokobachi, ya, chichi, boom, boom. And the kids would be dancing every time I walked by. And now in this village, they speak a different tribal language. They'll be talking about Yavu, the white man. But it's so weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a weird concept. And I don't know why. I should just leave it alone. I want to leave it alone. But there's part of me that just wants to teach them
I get it.
that I'm the same as you.
No, I get it.
Like even my closest friend.
Yeah.
He'll be on the phone with someone. If the phone rings, we're together.
Right.
He'll say, I'm with the white man. I'm with the white friend. Like, no, you're not. You're with me.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah,
right?
I would imagine that's kind of strange.
It's strange, but it's so not. It's not like
it's not intimidating.
It's not intimidating,
no.
and it's not aggressive. It's not racist intended at all. But I think of it like separatist. Like, why can't I be the same as you?
Yeah.
Like, I want to just be. Why can't we be best friends instead of you look at me here and I'm there?
Yeah.
Oh, you're there.
Yeah.
Right? It's interesting.
So you've been there obviously all these years, every year, multiple times per year. So you've seen things evolve there as we've evolved over here with technology and so forth. We're living in weird times over here. Forget the pandemic. We just with so much social media, and it's a different discussion. But our whatever this means, our moral component in this country continues to get more and more loose. I believe in regards to things that are acceptable in society, which might not have been acceptable 10 years ago. My point is, now that they have connectivity and they get little glimpses of our life, especially the youth over there, do you see them echoing or mirroring like the popular music that's here? They kind of replicate that, or maybe we're having social issues here that they're aware of some of that stuff, or maybe I don't know. I'm trying to understand what the mind of someone that does have a cell phone over there and might be 12 years old or 13 years old, and they're seeing glimpses of America, which probably looks pretty scary at times. How are they adapting with that? What do you see?
Right. So they see both sides. I think for years, even since 35 years ago, they saw what they called the glitter and the glamour of America.
Okay.
They watch American movies that paint us as rich. I think that's what gives Ghanaians the impression that we're just wealthy, that money is falling off of trees.
Okay.
They really have that image. They really do. So that's
Still.
been there. Still. Even with all our blemishes and our bruises that we show now, they worship America.
Really?
Mostly because they're worshiping, unfortunately, the material goods and the money that they see.
Interesting. That's really interesting.
They love the music. You can see them dressing a little bit like Americans
Okay.
there. They have
Okay.
certainly their own traditional cloth. It's
Right,
gorgeous.
right.
But you can see the youth trying to look a little bit more American, even the styles, the way we
Okay.
wear our clothes,
Okay.
the way we wear our baseball caps. You know, they imitate, they hear our music. But I think, if anything, America's been glamorized too much. They all they want to dream about, all they talk about is, I want you to take me to America. Like, I need to be in America. They don't even know why, but they think. I mean, they have a sense that that's where money is, and so that's what I've noticed the most.
Wow. I would imagine as technology continues to get better here with connectivity, there's probably more and more exposure to that, which could be good and bad, I'm guessing, too.
Right.
In that instance,
Right,
they
right,
got
right.
a misunderstanding of what we're about.
Right, but they did hear a lot about. Look, 2020 was just so many tragic stories, like so many bad
Yeah,
stories. They
yeah.
had their own vigil for George Floyd. I think someone in Accra, the capital center, did a gorgeous, gorgeous mural, like almost beyond life size, in memory of him. So they're watching. They're definitely watching. They echo, or they reflect on things that former President Trump had spoken about, in sometimes in not such good ways. I'll give you an example. So my closest friend, this guy Senyo, had said to me last time I was there, he was reflecting that I'm just different than most people that he's either heard of or met. That's a white person, certainly from America. He said, white people don't like us. I said, well, what are you talking about? Why would you say that? And there's just a mistrust, I think, in general. Their history of slavery, of course, dictates that.
No doubt.
But then someone calling their country a shithole country didn't help, right?
No, not at all.
So, right, it didn't help.
Not at all.
So they're listening. So they're seeing the glitter, but they're seeing the not such pretty side of us too, and hearing that stuff. So all I could do was remind Senya that no one man reflects me. You know,
it's one
he
man.
doesn't reflect me. That's one man, and one man.
Yeah.
Other than myself reflects my heart. But so they're listening, they're hearing it. They went through an election. Their presidential election is right around when it was in December, just a month after ours.
Okay. How does that look? How do they vote?
So they have a democracy now. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
When I got there in 1986, they were in the hands of Jerry Rawlings through a military coup. So really, he was running the country based on a coup. But then somewhere in the 90s, and I was there for that first election, they started having elections. And every 4 years, and quite peacefully, it's amazing, elect a new president. But what happened this year in Ghana? And again, it was a contentious election, really paralleling America, like half the country, and half the country just polarized. Either you love this guy, not unlike us.
Yeah.
And the guy that lost was contesting that it was a rigged election. Go figure, right?
Yeah.
So, and I don't want to go down the road, but I think they're listening. I think they get ideas.
Of course.
They get ideas,
of course,
right?
Of course.
Right? So it's...
No, I understand.
They're watching the good, the bad, and the ugly of us. I guess everyone does, right?
Yeah.
So,
Go back to the towns for a second, so just so we
Yeah.
could help describe this picture for those watching and listening to the show. Are there areas where there's like these shanty these primitive style homes like clustered together, or are things more spread out there? Is it like I kind of think like in my head I see a dwelling, and then like just vast wasteland land or a little farm area, and then another, like, I don't know, quarter mile, another dwelling. Is it that spread out, or do they live closer together?
They live close together. And so in the towns, it's pretty congested.
Okay.
Even in the small towns, it's pretty congested. And they'll have concrete buildings, but but one on top of another.
Got it. There wasn't any zoning commission when those were built, I'm guessing.
No. And I don't know how you'd find your way. I don't think a GPS would work there. I honestly don't think a GPS would work. But
you never know. Google and Apple are pretty amazing. You never know.
It's true.
Just try it out when you go there.
It's true. Actually, you can find the bigger town. On Google Maps, you can actually see some of the bigger towns. Like the tiny villages where my schools are, you won't find that. You won't find that anywhere. But the bigger towns, you'll see on Google Maps.
Really?
Yeah.
It's that remote?
You can see. Yeah.
Now, where you're working, are they clustered together, the dwellings, or is it more spread out like I described prior?
So,
Or is it a combination of both?
it's a combination of both, but a village, for one village to another, has a big separate area, big farmland.
People live sporadic in there?
But within a village, it's one one pretty close to the next one. Yeah, it's pretty close.
Okay.
Yeah, so there may be 70 or 100 families that live within this village.
Okay.
Fairly close, but then the next village,
Got it.
maybe a while away.
Got it.
Yeah.
The farming that's done there, are there each family's kind of fending for themselves and they have their own little plot, or are there bigger farms that might have like 50 people working on there? Would they be able to hold regular jobs working on someone else's farm and then
They
collect
might
a
help each other,
paycheck?
but they might help each other. It's interesting. I don't know that I know the exact answer to
Okay.
that, but I think it's mostly each family has their own. But guess who else has some farmland, Eric, over in Ghana? I was given as a gift farmland.
Are you
But
serious?
I did. After I built the first school in this village of Gakpo Kope, they wanted to give me a gift.
Okay.
I've never used it. I keep trying to give it away
Wow.
to someone who could use it.
Wow.
Because what am I going to do? I'm not a farmer, Eric.
Yeah. Well, you don't look like a farmer.
I don't look like a farmer, right?
Neither do I, but
Right? So I'm not giving it to you. They gave me 5 acres of rice farmland
Okay.
and 5 acres of maize. So all I wanted to do was give it to friends. Like, you have it, enjoy it.
Yeah.
Reap whatever, reap the harvest and sell it. It's yours. I don't want a penny from it.
yeah.
The friends that I was offering it to, it's going to cost money for them to travel from their home to this village. Everything's, comes down to money,
It's a
right?
gift that keeps giving.
Right. So I'm going to talk, when I get back, I'm going to talk to Senyo. Maybe we employ people.
Yeah.
Give them jobs, like employ them to do the farming, so they have a job, they can do it, and then
Can it raise money for the charity?
Raise money for the charity. Sell the stuff in the marketplace, right? Exactly.
You just have someone to manage it, you know?
Yeah, and that employs people. It employs people, and the farm isn't going to waste. But right.
I keep thinking about like Archer Daniels, Midland, these big companies. There's no medium-sized firms down there buying big plots of land and then hiring the townspeople to work at the farm, as far as you know.
No. If you're talking like big industry, you'll see that only in the capital city.
That's it. What are the industries of the country? Really? What are the industries?
So you'll see companies there. Nestle is there. Coca-Cola is there. I've never been in these places, but
just producing product for Ghana.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know because I've never really visited them, but I know Nestle, Coca-Cola. There's some companies there. There's some banks. So if you're really highly educated and you can know the right people, you can get a banking job. The member of parliament is a lawyer. Like, the elite people have very good jobs. But that's like this much of the population. The vast majority, probably a good paying job as a teacher.
Okay.
Again, mostly farmers, fishermen. I'm trying to think what.
In the big cities, the schools are better quality naturally. I mean,
yeah, in the city, yes, in the big cities, because that's where that's where the money goes into. In the towns and villages where I'm at, there's a scarcity of teachers. There's a scarcity of textbooks.
I bet.
You might have a teacher may have a classroom of like 50, 60 kids. Imagine that. Like in Pittsburgh, we have like maybe 20, 25 kids in a classroom.
Right.
They might have a classroom of 50 or 60 kids with like maybe 3 or 4 textbooks that the kids have to share.
Wow.
The headmaster may be begging the government, we need more. We'll all be dead before they get those textbooks. You know what I mean? Like, they just don't come.
That's just crazy.
So,
that's like the most elemental thing. I mean,
right, exactly. So for the schools that I'm building, I buy everything for them. Notebooks, textbooks.
Wow.
I take care, so long after I build a school, I'm still providing. My fingerprints are all over that school.
You mentioned tourism before. Like, I've never heard Ghana being a tourist stop. So what are their tourist attractions there?
So I'll tell you, it's interesting, right? The most people who go to Ghana are they have mission work, either like doctors and nurses doing some medical work, doing medical church people evangelizing, preaching, mission work, and then someone like myself with this mission, building schools, doing things like that. You usually go to Ghana for a purpose. In other words, you go with a mission.
Okay,
right? I don't think Ghana's on, like people are saying, like, honey, should we go to like Hawaii or Ghana this year? Like, they're not. I mean, but yet when you get to Ghana, trying to think some of the cool places. So there's this really amazing place, Cape Coast, is a huge coastal city. It used to be the capital of Ghana.
Right.
That has, so it has this really fun thing I'm going to tell you about, but also has a lot of the biggest former slave trade castle. So Ghana was an enormous port of slaves to the Americas, Europe, and so they're spotted all over the coast of Ghana. You have these, and the biggest one is in Cape Coast, Cape Coast Castle. Eric, one day you'll come to Ghana with me. You'll take a tour. I've done this tour like 3 times. You'll cry. Like, it's an hour-long tour recreating. You see the space where the slaves were literally waiting to exit the door of no return. It's haunting. It'll make you cry. And they do an amazing job. Like, the person who leads the tour is just, it's such a beautiful, there's nothing beautiful about the story, but he beautifully makes you feel, yes, you viscerally feel what tragically what those people had gone through. And then you see the last part of the tour is that door of no return that opens to the beach. It'll haunt you. But so we go, that's a tourist area. Barack Obama was there. In fact, there's a plaque where he was there. So in that same region, in that same town, city, what do you call it? It's a Canopy Walk. I think they're like 5 in the world.
Okay.
You're walking on this wood canopy. There's like a netting here. You walk and across, but there's underneath. There's like 100 feet below you is the like forest. So you think if you fall, like it's amazing. I think there's one in Peru. There's one. Maybe in China. Oh, sorry.
So you're walking at the top of the canopy of the forest.
Yes, it's a canopy, and the width is just a little bit beyond your body's width.
No, thank you.
No, it is fun. It is so much fun.
Sounds fun to me.
And you're going from one point to another, and like 8 different points to connect. If you're scared of heights, you're going to be.
Oh, yeah.
You're gonna pee on yourself. You're gonna pee, right?
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
But it is so much fun. So that's a great thing. That's a great thing. Where I was near the orphanage, there's West Africa's highest mountain. We hiked. I think I almost died there. It was.
You should have come down than it is to go up, right?
Well, there were 2 routes. There's one that's a little quicker but steeper. And so I thought I was taking all these wonderful orphans on the one that's a little bit longer but a little less steep. I think they tricked me. I think they picked the wrong one. I was like short of breath. Oh my God. Oh my God! I didn't think
it was that bad.
It was bad. It was bad. But there's some waterfalls there. So there's some beautiful.
Well, you mentioned beaches earlier on. I was just thinking to myself, is there hotels that are on those beaches? Is that a destination for people to go and I don't know, kick back for a week or two?
So I'll tell you, in Ghana, again, no one would go there as a destination. But if you're in Ghana, you would go in
Accra,
what I mean. In the capital city.
If you had money and you knew what a vacation was.
Sure. In Accra, they have, I think it's Labadi Beach. There are a couple of beaches that are well kept. I'll give you an example. Where I am, it's in a small town called Tegbe. I could literally walk from my guest house down towards the beach. Maybe it takes me 15 minutes. It's a beautiful walk, and it's peaceful, but it's not built up. I mean, there is a resort hotel nearby, but pretty empty. Like if I'm not eating dinner there, it's relatively pretty empty.
Right.
Right. The beach is littered. Like people just leave stuff behind. Like it's not. Yeah. It could be made if someone really wanted to make it into a tourist area. You could, but it lacks that infrastructure right now. But there are beaches all over as a coastal city, so I think it's something they could definitely improve upon.
It's so hard to wrap your head around. You have a city area. And then there's obviously plumbing there, right? For these, there's skyscrapers in terms of like they're moderately high buildings, office buildings, and so forth.
In Accra only, in Accra, the capital city. Yeah, where I am in these smaller towns, no, just like 1 level or 2 level homes, 2 level structures. If a family had enough money, they might build a 2 level structure, and the whole family would live within that compound.
Wow!
So you'll see that. If they have enough money to do that.
Where you're staying, do you have running water and so forth where you're staying?
Yes, so I have a guest house.
Okay.
So what I learned, Eric, I need one thing in life. I just need a toilet, actually. That's all I need. Yeah. So I had been at my friend Platini's house when did we do our first project? In 2015, I believe we did our first project. And he decided, he was very hospitable. He wanted me to save money instead of staying at a guest house.
Right.
He said, you stay at my family home. You're our guest.
Okay.
It was nice. The room was okay. But there was no toilet.
Yeah.
It was like a little outhouse.
Yeah.
Like sitting on a concrete slab with a little hole in it.
I get it.
I did that once. I did that twice. I used to walk to the roadside. It took me a while. Then take a taxi to the nearest hospital, to the municipal hospital there. Just use a toilet every day.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And even there, I had to often bring my own soap. Even in a hospital, there wasn't even soap sometimes, just to save money. There wasn't soap in the bathroom.
So in your guest house, though, do you have water there?
Yes, we have water.
Thank goodness.
It runs most of the time, doesn't always run. In Ghana, the electricity is there most of the time. It's hit or miss. But there's a little shower. No hot water, of course, just cool to cold water. The constant water heater. Yeah. My water heater broke this week.
Okay.
It was that, so I got a taste of what it's going to be like. Yeah. It was I think it was God showing me get ready.
Is solar, and do you think, I mean, without getting too technical there, is solar an option for the poor down the line? Is that mainstream, they can produce their own electricity? Or are we still far away from that, would you guess?
You're talking about the poor in Ghana. It's pricey. I mean, for my school,
to be self-sufficient, I mean, that's an option, right? Because you did it for the school.
You could do it. It's pricey. I would say for the school, it was over $7,000 for the school for a 5 kilowatt system.
Okay.
I just talked to the guy yesterday because someone had an idea, but it's just not really feasible. Like, what if we provided solar for some of these boreholes? If they're not hooked to the national grid, if they're not hooked with electricity, and they have no electricity, what we do now is these manual pumps.
Right.
And they're hard for an elderly person to do it. They got a pump.
Of course. It
would be nicer if you had an electrical source. So the guy from the solar company wrote to me a couple of weeks ago, and I spoke to him yesterday. I was like, would you ever think about doing that? Well, it's in the order of $3,000 just to provide electricity. For that $3,000, I could give another community water. So it's I get it. Now it's a matter of allocating.
I get it.
But it's expensive still.
I get it. Let's talk about those boreholes so we can paint a better picture of exactly what that is for the viewer. Obviously, you think, okay, it's a well, so you've got to have a machine that drills into the ground to a certain depth.
And it goes deep.
And then until they find water, right?
Right, till they find these big aquifers.
So back up for a second. Yeah. So explain how the process looks. If I'm standing there watching this happen, so no one's there, and now they're starting to arrive to do this, what am I watching?
Right. So the first step is I talk to my engineer or with my people that locate a village. We want to find the village. What villages have the most dire need right now?
Got it.
There are millions of people that need water, but I want to, I have only limited resources, so I want to find the village. So first is finding the village. Then we get a guy that does the survey, and I don't really understand what he's doing, but he's looking at like 3 or 4 different points. I can drill here, here, or here. And somehow he's doing something and putting information into his computer and finding, there's the most water underneath here. Somehow he knows, and he's been always right.
Huh, that's interesting.
So I'll get the technology. Interesting. I still don't understand it. But
then he used to use hangers, and they'd walk around the hangers.
I think they still do that, but not my guy. My guy's a little more sophisticated. We hire the best. Don't forget. Come on. But I think if it's splayed apart or something, I don't know. But so you do the survey, so you know exactly. So my engineer then knows, okay, this is the point that's the most plentiful water.
Yeah, got it.
Then he's hiring a drilling team. We've gone down anywhere from 50 meters, that's 150 feet, to 100 meters, like 300 feet.
Wow.
Through concrete until you get water gushing out. That's when you know that's like a big jubilant moment when the water's like coming out.
So this is the drill. The drill's on a truck?
Yeah, it's on a truck. And the drill bits are
huge,
huge. And just go and go and go.
How long does it take to do that?
So it can take the ones that I personally witnessed, not included the ones were in 2020 when I wasn't there. It could be a full day, like from morning till sometimes evening.
Wow.
Until you are satisfied that you hit the water. Because you could hit superficial water, and you don't want to just stop there because that's going to dry up very quickly. You want to hit the
So it drills
to create
down,
water.
and you find the water reservoir.
Yeah.
And then there's a hole there now, right?
Yeah. So
then
now you create with PVC pipe. You
sleeve.
construct the sleeve. Exactly. You construct the borehole. So the borehole is this blue, real heavy duty PVC pipe that's going all the way down.
Wow.
And probably anchored into some of that rock. I think that's where it's anchored into, is the rock. And then once that's there, now he puts the pump in there. There's these fancy pumps.
But it's still manual, though, right?
No, it depends. Some villages have electricity. If they have electricity, we use electrical pumps. It's wonderful. So it's run by electricity.
Okay.
Yeah, I prefer those. Those are really nice.
Certainly. But the manual pump is still, on the manual pumps, it's done by hand, right?
Yeah, so what's left after the pump is in there, they create this lever. It's basically a lever that's, making the pump work and bring water through the faucet.
It seems unfathomable to me that a government that is actually, I know it's a money thing, but is it really? Because a government that knows they're governing over this entire body of people, and there's one or two major cities with these facilities, but being that water is the most purest form of absolute need, you think that they would be able to allot enough money to find out strategically where these boreholes and just
do it.
It's because that same amount of money has to be being wasted in other ways by that government doing other kind of stupid stuff, probably
stupid stuff or corrupt. Yeah, just keeping it for them. Keeping it in corrupt ways. That's really is. The money trail isn't always accounted for.
Well,
right?
of course.
So it is unfathomable. Why does Steve Greene? I'm happy to do it, but why does Steve Greene, this guy from Pittsburgh, have to go in and find that village? Why wouldn't the government have as much access, right?
So if you had access to politicians, if politicians come and talk to you, I imagine you would have to have some interfacing with the universities and the governments there, right?
Right. So my biggest interaction is this member of parliament. I've never met like the president of Ghana.
Okay. Well, what's that parliament member say to you as to why they won't do it?
Yeah, lack of funds. Just lack of funds. He'll beg for his constituency. He has, let's say, Western Pennsylvania.
Right.
He'll beg the government for funds. He needs this much money for schools, water, electric. All the needs of his people. Mm-hmm. He needs this much money. He'll get this much money.
It's crazy, though.
It's crazy.
Is that
basic infrastructure that we just take again?
Well, so it's not prioritized. The water distribution to those villages, to the people of the country, that's not a priority.
Not a priority.
That's insane.
It's so insane, man.
To the average person looking at that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. If you don't have the money to put, pipe-borne water in front of your house, for even like in your home, you can put these pipes. If you don't have the money, you're fetching. Forget these small villages, even in a town, you're fetching at someone else's home for your water. I didn't even realize that for a while. I just assumed they had water. But my friends are telling me now, we've been fetching water for a while.
I mean, I understand that the cost involved to provide, running water through a street system and to individual homes, that's got to be exorbitant. I get that. But not even to be able to strategically put boreholes to service certain communities, I don't get it.
Right, exactly. There is a village right now we're working on. My friend Senyo's in this the Bono East region. It's a region about 12 hours away from his home. He told me they're walking up and down like a mountain to get water. Could you imagine, with a bucket of water, coming back, going like up a hill and down like a steep mountainy area just to get access to a stream? That's what they're up against. Wow. Otherwise, they have no access to clean water.
And I'm guessing most of these people couldn't possibly afford any kind of transportation. I'm guessing sporadically you'll see cars and so forth, right?
You'll see taxis. So the taxi industry, going from point A to point B, drivers can do pretty well.
I would imagine.
People will spend a little bit of money to get from here to here with their goods. Maybe they come from the marketplace. But most people, I don't know anyone other than the member of parliament that owns a vehicle. Yeah, unless you're from a wealthy family, you don't own a vehicle. So you walk to places, like these kids walk to school. Most Ghanaians will tell you they walk miles to go to school each day. Walk to church, you just walk. Yeah.
It's horrifying.
It's craziness.
It is craziness. It's still it's just so hard for us to
Yeah.
wrap our head around.
Yeah.
It is fascinating to me though that's the one thing, being that that's the most elemental form of survival is water, right?
Right.
And they can't at least put boreholes in strategically in so many places too.
That I have to do this is incredible or other NGOs from other places have to do this. But it's a joy to do it. So we're gonna keep doing it, right?
I totally understand, 100%, 100%. The back to the schools for a second. So the building itself has 4 classrooms. Is that right?
4 classrooms.
4 classrooms, and it's from K to 6 generally.
Mm-hmm.
The age differences depends on what that child has experienced when they started, right?
Sure.
When you first built the school, did you have any struggle getting people to come in terms of like they were used to, they only knew one way, you know, whether it's under a tree or whatever their very primitive way of learning was? Did you have to show them, look, this is another way to do it? Or was it pretty much they ran to the school?
They ran to the school. A lot of it was just letting them become aware, like the headmaster would go on a little campaign introducing the concept. We just built this school. Hope for Ghana just built this. Look what it has to offer. They love the library.
Okay.
They love the water. They love the lights. There's a lot of glitter to it, you know,
of course,
to attract a brand new school. So it wasn't hard.
Huh.
I visited. We captured it on film. I was with my video guy from Pittsburgh. He came with me 2 years ago, February of 2019, and we captured on film. All of a sudden, at the end of the day of school, I saw this motorcycle taking like 2 kids. I think they were brothers or friends. I think they were brothers. 2 little kids on a motorcycle. It really wasn't pediatric friendly. Like, I don't think.
I wouldn't think.
Right. So I'm not advocating for this as a pediatrician, but it was so beautiful because I asked the headmaster, I said, what's going on there? This mother from a long ways away, I don't know what distance, I forget, would bring her kids, send her kids on a motorcycle every day to school and from school because she heard about this school.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think at the very least I need to get them like helmets or something, right? I gotta,
I would think so. Right.
Let's help them in that way. But no, but beautiful how when given opportunity, they will seek it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the way of the world. I mean, just give people. That's all people need, right? That's all we need. That's what we were given by our parents, right? That's why we are here today, because we had opportunity. So
around the school itself, the grounds, is there recreational activities? Do you support? Do you encourage? Or how's that work?
I want to. I have visions of doing more with the school. There's a vast amount of land in front of the school, vast amount, and truthfully, they gave me that land. They would give me more. If I said I wanted to add, a football field or this, they would give me as much land as I want. But even in front of the school, I've thought about creating like a football field.
Soccer for them, right? So
yes.
Soccer's huge over
exactly.
It's did you see a lot of that?
Soccer. They call it football.
When you drive through those areas, though, do you see kids playing soccer?
Mm-hmm. You'll see it's some of and nothing. It's not like a turf like we have. It's literally the dirt. And it's kind of uneven, the surface. It's irregular.
Of course.
Many of them they don't have soccer shoes. I mean, they have a lot of them are even in barefoot, but they're having the time of their life. So a lot of schools, like junior high schools, will have that in front of their school. So I'd love to. I'm thinking about doing something like that there.
Okay.
There's a guy there that does playgrounds. Almost like
really?
Like a little. I've seen his work, so I want to talk to him. I'm going to meet him when I get there in the next week. He does like merry-go-rounds. I think he could do a seesaw, basic things for kids. That'd be nice, like almost like a monkey bars, things like that.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But I'd love that.
So once you get them to 6th grade and the child graduates, now what is the typical option for that kid? At what age would that be? 13,
right. So
12?
that could be, let's see, it could be 13, could be 15 even, could be 15 or 16 or older. Then they'll be old enough, they'll have to walk to their junior high school. They'll have to walk.
If there's one around them, right?
Right, but they may walk miles. There may not be one around them. But then the thought is that at least you've taken care of the young kids safety-wise.
Absolutely.
and an older kid is a little bit more capable.
Got it.
But what would be ideal in a situation like that is to build enough for like junior high school, like classrooms for, first grade, second, third, up to sixth, and then even seventh, eighth, and ninth. I mean, that's a thought. One day I'll get there.
No, I get that. I was just wondering, like, in terms of, I mean, it's a miracle to get them to sixth grade, but I would imagine that's probably more than a lot of those kids ever really get a chance to do.
Absolutely. In the village where I'm building the second school, many of those kids, Godsway, for example, has never gone to school a day in his life. Again, 18 or so years old, has never gone to school a day in his life. I realized that I had to create a contract with his mentor, Samuel, who's the mason who's going to teach him, his mentor. Mm-hmm. And we had to sign a contract that witnesses, his parents were there, I had to have witnesses, whatever. It was just formal, it was nice. And at the time, he was asked to sign his name. He doesn't know how to write his name. So what they do instead, they put ink on their thumb and just do a thumbprint. And that's his identity.
That's crazy.
It's so crazy. This 18
it is
and
crazy.
So, not that we don't have illiteracy here, but I would think most people know how to write at least write their name, right?
Yeah.
So I thought, wow. So I told him before I left. This was the last time I had seen him in September of 2019. I told him I'm coming back and I'm teaching him how to write his name. Yeah, at the very least, right?
Because he's had nothing. He's had no
education.
No education.
And his parents the same way. They had a sign. They did the same thing. So it's a cycle. It's a cycle. So if you can bring schools into these areas, think of what you can do if you can break that cycle of illiteracy, lack of education.
Right.
I mean,
Steve, before you arrived there for this area that you're working with, and I'm assuming there's no television, right? I'm guessing that most of them didn't have
very few people have television, right? In a village, maybe one person has like a small unit that everyone's watching, and they tap into the electricity from like somewhere like
imagine.
Distance.
But I'm just kind of curious. Is there a newspaper? How do they even remotely get information about the world?
So they hear about it. They'll hear stuff on the radio.
The radio, okay.
I don't know that the typical. I'm trying to think if I've seen the typical.
The radio has
Ghanaian,
to be a big thing for them, right?
I think so. I'm trying to think if I've seen the typical Ghanaian, like in these small towns and villages, reading the paper.
Yeah, a lot of them can't read.
I don't think so. Exactly, because of illiteracy. And you'd have to have, there are like 45 different dialects there. There's no, English is the national language, but only the educated people speak English. So it's radio. It's radio.
I didn't even know that English was the national language there.
Yeah, they're learning that in school. So school students learn English in their school, but in their home, they're typically speaking their tribal language. So it's years before a kid will be able to dialogue with me.
Wow,
even
that is
grade school kids. Most of these kids in this school kind of just look at me. Maybe they understand a few words. They don't speak English. But as they get up in the years and they're exposed to it more, they'll learn to speak English.
So on your first school, how did you find teachers? How did you go about acquiring the teachers you needed?
So, because Steve Greene didn't want to be hiring and firing people. So basically what I do, and I'll do it with the second school this coming month, I hand the school over as a gift. I hand the school over to the Ghana Education Service, kind of like the Pittsburgh school system, the public school system.
And you trust them?
Yeah, well, I have to. So I still have my
still
got my handprints all over the school. The headmaster and I talk about a lot of stuff. But just hiring and firing, getting a headmaster, getting teachers, they become government postings. They become public.
I understand.
Because it would be impossible from where I sit.
Privately run school would be impossible.
It'd be impossible for me.
Yeah,
not living there. Like if I wanted to,
you'd be absentee, and there'd be too much going on.
It'd be crazy, right?
Okay.
So the government does that, and they have their standard curriculum. But when I talk to the headmaster about maybe bringing a vocational training, he loves it. I'll run it by the Ghana Education Service, let him know the school's going to be used for that. But
they don't push back. They don't push back. Let you do whatever you want.
Anything I want to do. For them, it's just addition. You're adding something. Of course, have at it.
So standard curriculum during the day, so reading and writing and arithmetic and all the fundamentals entered, I'm guessing, in maybe an intro to science of some kind.
Right, science. They have religious and moral education. They do that. They have IT, which is interesting because most schools never have computers. So
How about that?
They're learning theoretically about a blackboard, what a keyboard looks like.
Wow.
So if I can bring in computers to these schools, it's amazing. Now they can functionally see a keyboard,
Yeah.
learn what a document looks
Right,
like, see
right,
Microsoft
right.
Office. It's amazing.
Does one teacher teach that group of children all day, or multiple teachers during the day?
For the older kids, kind of like in America, as the kids get older, like in junior high school, they would have different teachers.
specialized.
Right. They could have an English teacher, science teacher. But the basic history, English, Ewe, their tribal language, again, IT, those are the basics, religious, moral education.
Are there
That's it.
any opportunities at all for any of these kids, college-wise? Any community college?
It's
Could anyone
tough.
get lucky and somehow get in?
Yeah, if you don't come from a wealthy family or have a sponsor to help you or really work for years, you might be able to save over the years. College is pretty expensive there. It's very few that get that far. But some people, if they really are determined, they'll save, they'll work small jobs, they'll save money for university and try to get in. But it's tough. A lot of people don't end up there.
I can imagine. Well, even if you
So-
got in there, would there be a job waiting for you when you finished?
That's a good question. And the unemployment rate there is astronomical. A lot of university graduates are walking the streets of Accra, the capital, looking for jobs. The industry is just limited, whether you want banking or to do law. It's very limited.
You said fishing is part of the economy there, right?
Big, yeah. Fishermen, fishing and farming.
So how's the fishing work? They go out on boats,
On
they
boats
come back in.
with those vast nets. I think I've just heard about this. My friends do this as side jobs.
Okay.
So they'll help the fishermen with that. I haven't done that yet.
Is that on your list of things to do when you come back?
Maybe that'd be
Get
cool.
some video you
That
out
would
there
be-
with a big fish, the hat turned
That would
sideways.
be cool. That would be cool. You got to admit that would make a good video, right?
Be a great video. You
fishing.
need to do a full blown documentary, man. I mean, a full
Yeah.
blown. Is that in your wheelhouse here?
Absolutely. I'd love to. My video guy. We're talking about that.
Are you taking
Yeah.
a video guy down there with you, or is
So
it someone
he came.
you?
He came. Alan came 2 years ago in February. Came for a week. Had the time of his life.
Mm-hmm.
Loved it. He wants to go back probably in 2022. Next year he'll come.
Okay.
Again for a week. But we have the vision of doing a documentary, right? And all these little storylines
Absolutely.
that are interesting, right?
Let me ask you this question: would it behoove you ever to maybe look at would the talent to produce this already be down there somewhere, in maybe one of the universities, or maybe in the bigger the more modernized cities? Could there be a person or a group of people already with that kind of talent that you could bring on board to assist you with that?
Sure, absolutely. Even in the small town where I'm at, there's a guy who does a lot of events. He's a big photographer who does weddings, funerals. He has a drone. He's helped me out. He's done some drone photography, so he would definitely be on board. Absolutely. So you could bring in. There's some photographers down there that I know. There's some talent. There's some amazing talent down
I
there.
bet.
It's just a matter of opportunity. How many Ghanaians down there can afford like a beautiful $1,000 camera and $200 lens and this? Very
Right.
few. But
Right.
but I know a lot of them.
They're not short on the willingness to do things. They're just
Exactly.
on the means.
That's exactly
They're short
right.
on the
That's
means.
exactly right. But I have great photographers and great some drone people. Yeah, so we'll bring in a lot of the. I think it would be amazing to bring in a lot of the local talent.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've had all these years to reflect on this entire journey for you. And you probably try to remember what it was like as you were your first trip, right, 35 years ago.
Right.
And what your mindset was and all that, and how that's all been crafted and changed. What would you say is the biggest takeaway for you personally as you sit here now, getting ready to go back again in the 35th year? Is that about right?
Yeah.
35th year?
I went in July of 1986. So yeah, almost 35.
So the person
almost
you were
35
when
years.
you went there, if you can remember, because my memory's not the greatest, but in who you are today and how you view life, what do you think the biggest takeaway for you is, on a selfish basis, for you as a person? The takeaway.
For me.
Yeah.
Wow. I think a few things. I mean, the value of opportunity. I mean, the value, what we take for granted, what was given to me by my family, parents, grandparents, that that nurturing opportunity is so much not always available out there. And I'll give you a story, and then I'll come back to the rest of the takeaway. But my first trip, one of the most haunting stories that I talk about now, that it still haunts me. I was playing with the kids. I was working at the hospital, so I'd play with the kids who were doing their homework with them, because the nurses lived on the premises. They had housing on the premises, so I would do the homework, help the kids with their homework. So we're out there doing homework, and a woman comes over with her baby wrapped around her back, probably maybe 3 or 4 month old baby, and she asked me to take that baby home with me to America. She said, "Will you please take my baby with you?" And I thought it was, a joke. I thought it was like, well, I'm not sure what you mean. And then I asked her again, and I realized what she wanted. She wanted me to give that baby an opportunity that kid would never had. It's unfathomable. Like, what parent would do that, right? What parent would want to do that? But yet, for her, that would have been the biggest blessing, for someone to be able to take that baby to America and give that baby opportunity. So I think, I think those stories, I'm watching it even today, 35 years later, seeing and being weighed down by watching that lack of opportunity there. You appreciate what you have in your life, but I think what fuels me each day is the feeling that, and it's just in my blood now, I don't even think about it, but that I have to help those. God put me on this planet. I realize my purpose. Like, God put me on this planet. We have to make people's lives better. Like, I live by the philosophy of, you need to, if you go into a situation, always make it better than than how you found it, right?
Okay.
And I think that's what's just been ingrained of why we're here and what we should be here, at least what we should be here for.
Right.
That we have so much. We have ample opportunity and so many gifts, that there's so much to give, and we can change people's lives. You're not going to change the whole world, but if you change one life at a time, one village at a time, for me, I think the takeaway is there's so many ways to change the world in that sense, one life at a time.
The times you come back from your trips, is there an adjustment period, or was there in prior years when you would go, when you were maybe younger in the game, so to speak?
Yeah.
Like, you would get home, like, you were in so much poverty and doing all this really organic, hands-on work, right? And then you come back to modern civilization. Is there an adjustment?
It's hard,
for you?
Absolutely. It's still a little bit hard, not as hard, but definitely. I think there was like guilt if I went out. Like, early on, I couldn't even go to a restaurant. Like now I go to restaurants like all the time. I don't like to cook, Eric, so I go, just to let you know. So I'm out there, but to go to a restaurant and consume, like we do in America, felt like bad. Like, it felt. Ooh. I did less of that early on in my trips. It gets a little easier, but I miss it now. I just miss it now. I just miss the people when I get back, and I'm always thinking, oh, what's my next?
Yeah.
What am I doing on the next trip?
Yeah, that you're such a forward-thinking person. You're probably one of the most forward-thinking people I've probably ever met.
Wow.
So, no, really, you do. You're always, I would imagine your brain works in a way where you're just constantly planning for everything. Am I right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. And some of it comes naturally. I mean, a lot by this year, 35 years in Ghana, but 10 years into the charity, a lot of it I know what I'm doing, but there's always new ideas. And if I can think of new things to do, that juices me up, and I love, wow, I can plan for this as the next step.
Do you ever get the chance to really sit back and reflect, or you don't do that too often?
I try. I'm running, like when I'm in Ghana, I want to start to do that. I find that I'm running a lot. I'm doing a lot. As I'm getting older, I want to slow it down a little bit and just spend time with the friends I have there and just really sit back and really just cherish the moments there. I think right now the last few years, as the projects have been moving fast, I feel like it's going a little too fast. I want it to slow down for me and just really just cherish it. Whether it's like hanging out at the beach or just slowing it all down. So I'm gonna start on this trip. I'll try.
Right on.
I think if anything, not being there for the last year and a half with coronavirus, like stopping me in my tracks from traveling.
Right.
I'll probably cry when I get to the airport, man. I'll probably cry with tears of joy when I get there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But,
I
so I
get
think
it.
I'm going to cherish it in a different way
I
this
get it.
trip. It'll be
I get it.
beautiful in a really amazing way. I'll just cherish. But I'd love to slow it down. I would.
Did you, through this journey, have you taken photographs? Have you made it a point to take photographs when you were there?
Yeah. So we do. I do a ton of photographs, video. In fact, that's what makes a lot of the videos. You can see them on my website, and it's what I present like at my golf outing. Like that's when I have a nice captive audience to show the work. Yeah. So there's some great stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it enables you to look back easier that way too. I mean, it's like it's just such a long tapestry. I mean, in 35 years, the amount of people that you've touched down there is insane.
Right.
Really?
Absolutely. That have touched me. Really. In reverse, that have touched me.
Yeah.
So I think at the last trip, I did more of those selfie kind of videos. I've never loved my face on the, like, I didn't want that to be the...
But you're so beautiful.
Right? But I never wanted Steve Greene to be the face. I wanted the work to be the face. But
sometimes you have to be the face.
But you have to be the face, and nowadays, let's face it, with social media, that's what people want. They want to see that face, you know, actively engaged with it. So I did more the last time, and I can envision myself just kind of telling the story a little bit more first person.
Okay.
With the people around me. I think it'll be interesting. Instead of the photographs of the work, me engaged. It'll be nice.
Certainly.
Yeah.
And it's exciting. It's exciting to me that you have so much passion to do this, because I go by the mantra that if you really aren't invested, I mean, really personally invested in what you spend a lot of time doing, then you're probably wasting your time. You know, and I think a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
You know, so when I see someone that's so, I mean, you've put your money where your mouth is with your time and your money, right? When you're down there, does it feel like your second home? Does it feel like home there?
So much so. Like when I tell you that I'll probably cry when I get on Gutting in Soil, it's because it's my second home, and I missed it. I missed it, and the people. You
told me about the smell last time you were there. It's a different smell. You said to some people it's offensive.
It's beautiful. So I always talk about, I mean, Africa in general. You picture the vivid color, like when you picture their beautiful garments. They're very colorful.
Yes.
So you're struck by so many things. The tastes are very vivid, amazing food.
Right.
The color. The noise, there's a noise level there.
Really? I didn't think about that.
Loudness, especially in a congested town, it's loud, especially if a lot of people are outside.
Okay.
But there's this smell when you walk off and I love it. It's just, how have I described it? It's like a musty, it almost smells like burnt corn. I think it's the humidity. I think it's the mildewy humidity. It sounds bad when I say mildew, but it's not. I love the smell.
Okay.
But I know I'm home. There's also, when you walk in the airport, there's the beautiful, in their tribal language, Twi, which is spoken down in the capital. It's Akwaba. Akwaba is welcome. So I love seeing that. But the welcome, I don't need the word. I just love seeing the people, the accent, the hearing.
Yeah.
That for me is home. And the smell, I'm telling you, it's beautiful. And I'll be greeted. My friend Senya will be there. My driver, I have a driver who takes me around.
Yeah.
And Senya will be there. So people are waiting to see me. So it is. It's a second home there. It's amazing.
My friend, this is good. I've waited for you to be back in this room for so long.
Right?
I'm thinking, I think Steve might have forgot my name. I'm
No.
There was a little pandemic thing between us there.
Yeah.
I think I wedged in there somehow.
Yeah. So you a little bit fell through by the wayside a little bit, but like I said, I wasn't going to have. I tried my best not to have COVID. Halt the mission.
Understood.
I still even did my golf outing last year.
I know you did.
I did my golf outing. Oh my God, Eric! Like, you remember everything. By July, still things were canceled. Everything, weddings canceled. This event canceled. When I heard, I'll tell you the brief story. So the first thing, do you remember the first thing that Governor Wolf opened in Pennsylvania? We were still, I think, in the red zone. This was back in May.
Was it golf courses?
Golf courses.
Yeah.
It was golf courses.
It made sense.
It made sense. It's outdoors, right? So then I thought, all right, you know that phrase, like, why do you have to throw out the baby with the bathwater, so to speak?
Right.
I thought, wait a second, I could do the golf outing. Maybe I have to modify the dinner or the lunch. You have to modify that social part.
Yeah.
But I followed through with the course. They were excited about doing it, and we worked with the catering staff, and they were to the T watching every county regulation and Pennsylvania regulation, and we did it. We modified. We had only a certain number of people in the room. I had to split the dinner. Instead of all 6 o'clock, we had to do a 4 o'clock shift to spread people out.
I understand.
But it was amazing.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, people,
you made that happen.
It was amazing, and I was so proud of it. I was proud of it because it was safe. It was everything it should have been from a healthcare standpoint.
Right.
But it gave people such an outlet. People loved it. I'm telling you, golfers. I never had more golfers in my life. It was. I think people just like couldn't wait to do something.
Right,
there were people that believed in the mission too.
Of course.
But they wanted just an outlet to give and to be outside. I probably drink a lot. They probably wanted to drink a lot, I think, right?
I think a lot of drinking has been going on since coronavirus.
Right. I know. Yeah. So, and we'll do it again this July.
Right on.
Yeah, July 17th. You're invited.
Yeah, I'm a terrible golfer. I'm probably the world's worst golfer.
That's good. That's perfect.
No,
You're the perfect
I can drive the
then.
cart, though. Hopefully we can all be in this. We can have multiple people in the carts now.
Yeah.
Was it one person per cart, or were you allowed to sit tandem?
So if somebody insisted, it's interesting, early on in May, I think the regulation from Pennsylvania is there should be one person per cart. By July, the golf pro just basically went with what people want. A lot of them were fathers and sons or best friends that were hanging out anyway.
Absolutely.
So most people wanted to, they would not have wanted to be separated.
Got it.
Was one guy who asked me, and the golf pro was perfect. He said, whoever wants it can have their own cart. But it was all sanitized. Everything was done. Like it was sanitized ahead of time. But most people shared carts.
Right on.
We had 86 golfers. Yeah.
It's impressive.
It was impressive, man.
It's impressive,
It was
man.
impressive. And let me tell you, philanthropy, I thought philanthropy last year would be like down because the pandemic is, look, people are struggling.
Yeah.
Everyone was, it affected people's livelihoods. Livelihoods, to say the least. I'm telling you, philanthropy for Hope for Ghana was up, bro. I don't know if
amazing.
It was amazing. I'm telling you, people that maybe gave $100 now gave $200.
Yeah.
Like it was just.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. I don't know the mentality of I want to give, I want to help, I want to.
I think that permeated society. I want to believe that it did. I mean, it's certainly, if anybody's paying attention, I would hope it would make us look inward a bit.
Yeah,
based on what we've gone through and what's really important.
Absolutely. I mean, I think for me that the whole lockdown was nothing nice about the pandemic, but nice that it slowed everything down. I know for me,
it did.
I almost liked that time that was a little bit more the quieter.
Yeah,
I was getting out of work really early. No one wanted to come to a pediatrician's office.
Absolutely.
So I was getting out earlier, and I kind of liked it. It was strange.
Is that one of the takeaways for you in terms of the pandemic and personally? I mean, God! I mean, you can find any positive in there. Obviously, maybe people slowing down a bit.
I think slowing down. I think we saw neighbors helping neighbors. I think you saw at times there were other times where people fought with each other. We saw that later in the year, but I think early on, I think there was a sense of I got to take care of my neighbor. Maybe he can't get out to the supermarket. Let me help him. There was a lot of that. You saw the appreciation, especially early on, with healthcare workers really reflecting and saying, "Wow, we have to value." Maybe it's not all these famous football players and basketball, but like nurses and
without a doubt,
paramedics,
without a doubt,
healthcare work. I think our priorities. Maybe,
they put the focus. On where it needed to be. Too.
Absolutely. So I think so. I think things got muffled at times.
It's society in general.
That was society, right? But I like that it slowed us down. I thought it was good, and you had the chance to. Again, maybe set new priorities. I think how Hope for Ghana will run, probably how your business runs too. Like everyone, we run maybe a little bit differently now. Like even if coronavirus was gone at a certain point, I think we'll still do. I think Zoom meetings are here to stay. I think just certain things that we do, how we function, how we relate to each other. Maybe
I would think
permanent.
I would think hopefully that we have more consideration for each other. And I know that you'll have like 50 people who will say, we're worse off today. And 50% will say, we're better off today. You're always going to have that.
Right.
But I would like to think that deep down inside, in most everybody, I would think we look at life a little differently now, right? And I would hope that we err on the side of kindness, maybe.
I hope so. I definitely hope so. And I think it gave us the opportunity. Whether we took advantage of that opportunity, who knows, right? But I think it did. I think it slowed life down. not being able to see your family at times.
Right.
If nothing, you valued it now. I missed going. I didn't go home for Thanksgiving. There was a big surge. I didn't want to, see my parents who were, of an age I was worried. God forbid I bring coronavirus to them.
Certainly.
And cause harm to them. So
certainly.
So now when I see them now, I appreciate it that much more. So I think,
no question.
I think definitely we value relationships. You know, social distancing is not human. It's not in our human DNA, right?
Right.
We want to, so I think
certainly.
we value that closeness.
Yeah, and we're on the road to recovery. We're on the road back.
I think so. I think so.
too.
I definitely see it. I see with this the whole vaccination program, I see like a light at the end of it. I'm for sure. I'm telling you, maybe it's a person, maybe it's a doctor. I see the light. I see the light at the end of the tunnel.
I feel the same way.
It feels good. It's not over yet, but it's. Things are picking up. You can see it in the street. The streets are busier, a little livelier.
I'll share this with you. My son sends me this text last night, and he says, "Dad, we follow the Oakland A's. We're baseball fanatics, and the A's are 0-4 to start the season." And that's a little frustrating, but he sends me this text. He's
Sounds like the Pirates, right?
Well, the Pirates actually won a couple of games.
Won, right?
But my son goes, "Dad, they're 0-4. I can't believe this." And I said, "Son," when you watched that game last night, what did you see? He goes, "What are you talking about?" I said, "What did you see when you watched that game that you didn't see last year?"
20,000
there's people in the fan in this. I said, "Yeah, you know what?" I said, "They could lose.
Enjoying life.
They could lose all the rest of the games, son.
Absolutely.
It wouldn't matter to me. I'm telling you, the fact that people are out and engaged again.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Felt it. You know?
It's wonderful to hear people roaring and cheering for something instead of everything's canceled, shut down. It is. It's amazing. And who knows when we'll see like a full stadium. That I think it's going to take a while.
Baby steps, man.
Baby steps.
I'm good with it.
Great, right? If you could put 20,000, and it's
improvement. And 20,000 is a lot. I mean, that's like a third of the capacity.
That's exactly right. And if Heinz Field this fall can have, like, let's say half, let's say 35,000, that'll feel great. And I agree with you. The roar of the crowd. Do you remember the fake noise?
I know. Or just seeing the empty seats. It was so stark and so unnatural.
Right. It was so unnatural, and it reminded us of how unnatural our world was. How unnatural this all was.
Yeah.
Like, where did this come from? Like, oh my God, what happened to us? It was unnatural. You remember the cardboard? What was with the
I think I started in Oakland. The cardboard cups first appeared in Oakland, and I was like, "Wait, what? Is that a real person?" I kept saying to myself, "How come there's people in the stadium?"
Right.
I mean, Oakland's putting people in the stadium. How come the Pirates can't? And I'm looking, I'm going, that guy's not moving.
But the fake noise was good, though. I think I don't know that I could watch a game, baseball or football, without in silence. It would be a little.
Well, you know why they did that? I was told that was initially done because they didn't trust the coarse language they'd pick up from the field. That's why initially it was done, as opposed to then shutting it all off and having it just silence and have the announcers just announce it was silence. So they had to do something.
Okay.
So they piped the noise in and
turned
the field down.
Because
I guess you could hear, I guess the field mics would pick up everything with no noise in the...
That's really interesting.
In the football, they had to be very careful with that too.
Yeah, right. Especially in football.
Especially in football.
But it created sort of a sense
something isn't right
of normalcy in an
people
abnormal.
There. I think so. Because it was so abnormal, and
it was so abnormal to see empty stadiums.
Even watching hockey now is with the tarps over all in some of the places with tarps over all the stands. It's just very like when you watch a New York team play. There's no one in there,
right?
Still.
Right. They're really conservative.
New York City, anyways.
Yeah, New York's been so conservative in terms of their baby steps are really baby steps.
Yeah, I think so. But it was funny because I think Buffalo had a football game. There was a bunch of people there, like the Buffalo, and that's in the state. So I really was just weird. Like I guess it was maybe more the city because it was so congested.
I gotcha.
And then management of the whole thing. I don't know. Right. I'm just glad to see us somewhat getting back to normal.
I think so. Even as I'm in restaurants, people are coming out more, especially the warm weather. I think there's.
It's going to be a good summer.
It's going to be a good summer.
You're going to have a great spring.
I'm going to have a great spring.
Yes, you are.
Leaving next Wednesday.
I know, starting in
and then,
a week.
Then I come back. I got a couple of months to prepare for the golf outing.
How long are you there?
I'll be there for a good 3.5 weeks. Close to 4 weeks, man.
Almost a full month.
Close to 4 weeks, yeah. I'll be back. I'll leave on the 9th. I leave on a Sunday night. I arrive on a Thursday morning. So a good... even excluding travel, I'm a good
Yeah.
3.5 weeks.
Now, what do you plan? All things going as planned. When do you anticipate the next trip for you?
So I'd love to get back in the fall.
That's what I
Like I
thought.
used to do. I used to do a winter trip and a fall trip, so no reason not to think I shouldn't be able to do this. So September-ish or October.
Okay.
So we got to plan
Absolutely.
come on.
I want
Yeah.
I want you back the moment you get back from this trip. So if it's a month or two from now, I want you back.
We'll do
I
that.
want to hear about it.
We'll do that.
And
yeah.
for the record, how can people donate and reach you? Give all the portals.
Let me do it. So I have a great website, hopeforghana.com, Hope for Ghana, Ghana, hopeforghana.com. There are a million ways to donate right on the website. I have a Facebook page, Steve Greene, also Hope for Ghana, that you can donate right on Facebook. Also Instagram.
You're doing the Instagrams.
Yeah, I'm getting used to it. Someone said I should be on Twitter. I draw the line there.
I don't do Twitter.
I'm drawing right. I draw the line
that's
there.
That's the sewer dump of the internet.
Exactly right. But look, social media is what it is. But for me,
You got to use the tool.
You use the tool.
It's a tool.
We all use it,
That's
right? It gets our word out. It's just really
I do
nice.
find it funny though that you push back on Twitter because I just do too. I don't partake in that.
Yeah, and it was a matter of time. Like I can't be
Caustic.
everywhere.
It's kind of caustic.
It's caustic, and yeah. My audience, even if they're not on Facebook or Instagram, well, I lost you, but I'll miss you. But the website hopeforghana.com, and
for those interested in the golf outing that's coming up, it's on the website, right?
It's on the website. You can go directly to the page. It's hopeforghana.com/golf. Easy enough, /golf, but you can find it on the website. July 17th, it's a time of your life, all the drinks included. If that doesn't get you there, it'll get you there.
We have a
it'll be
mutual
fun.
friend, attorney Rocco Koza.
We have
a
some
very good
great-
friend of both of us. I want to get Rocco on here
Rocco's
with you
amazing.
as well.
Can I-
Rocco, if you see this, I want you
Rocco. Let me
there.
I love Rocco. I love Rocco like
incredible.
maybe as much as you. We both love Rocco.
yeah, no
So
doubt.
let me give a shout out. Rocco Koza has given me a lot of wonderful advice. He's just that entrepreneurial business guy, right?
Right.
And practical. He's amazing. So so he taught me different tiers of sponsorships.
Right. Right.
And he does the top tier. He said,
Of course he does.
said, last year, I'm doing it. This year, he's doing it. So he's big, huge sponsor. He does my signature sponsorship. So the Koza Law Group, I thank you, Rocco. You're amazing. But I'd love to be on the show. And we know another mutual friend, Zach.
We sure do. Zach Rudder.
Zach Rudder's going to come to. Zach Rudder was supposed to come to Ghana.
I know
with me.
he was.
He was going to come in March. His bags were packed. He was so excited what he's going to do. In like a week's time, he wants to do a few murals, like take a wall and just do.
He can do it.
He could do it. I think he picked, I think he decided I'm going to do like 2 walls and maybe one of the outside walls or something. He was more devastated than I was about the trip cancellation.
I'm pretty close to Zach, yeah.
Yeah, he's a sweet kid. So
we'll get him on here too.
We'll get him on here too. So he's going to come. I think he'll
maybe in the fall.
We're talking about maybe in the fall. He has a newborn baby. He's got.
I know he does.
Yeah. The baby would miss him too much now. So
he'll get there. I know he wants to do it.
He wants to do it. Yeah. So Zach, but yeah, Rocco. Probably. We have a lot of good friends.
We do,
I'd
buddy.
love. But Rocco and I, that would be a good show.
That'd be a great show. Matter of fact, I'm going to Rocco. I'm putting you on the spot,
Rocco.
buddy.
Put me on the schedule, Rocco.
I appreciate it, Doctor.
My pleasure, Eric.
You,
it's always a pleasure. This studio is like
thank you. It's
so
nuts,
beautiful.
We have flickering lights today, and this never happens, right?
I thought that was the vibe. I thought that was like
maybe it is the
vibe.
This center group never flickers on me. It's usually the table, right? Now today the table's relatively stable.
Yeah.
Now the ceiling's flickering.
It's okay. I think it's all part of
it's an old building.
It's the Eric McKenna vibe. Come on,
I guess.
But bro, you're a joy to be around. It's a blessing.
It's an honor for you to have you, buddy.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
And very soon, have a safe trip.
Thank
you.
you.
We'll talk to you when you get back.
I love that.
All right.
Thanks.
Friends, we're out.
Hello, you're listening to the Eric McKenna Project.